Good morning. This is Terry Goins, Travis Worley. We're here at Bolton Homes. I don't know about you guys, but I still to this day have questions on financing. Well, Travis, he has a large amount of financial experience. He can answer some questions that you guys may have. He's going to discuss some of the finance options, and also too, just to throw it out there, we also have land improvements that we offer along with your homes. Travis, go ahead and get started on some of the financial things that you can tell us.
Well, so whether it's your first home or your 15th home, there are a lot of questions and a lot of stressful points. So you have three main type of loans that you can go when you're purchasing a manufactured modular home. We'll break down a little bit more, but chattel is your primary loan. A lot of people, probably 75% of your loans done in this business come from that side. Then you have your land home loans, and then you have what many would consider a qualified mortgage. So if you want to go into detail, we can, or whichever one you want to talk about.
Like when you say qualified loans, what exactly do you mean?
A qualified loan is a 30-year mortgage that is backed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So you can do those on site-built homes, manufactured homes, modular homes. Not every lender does it on every type of home, but there are some that specialize in just manufactured stuff like that. So that's going to be your FHA, your rural development, your conventional mortgage, and even your VA financing.
So basically, they're the backers. If a foreclosure came up, Fannie Mae or Bernie would back the loan, right?
Not Bernie now.
Okay.
It's going to be Freddie Mac. But yes, that is kind of correct. So those are 30-year mortgages typically. Land is definitely involved in that. You have to have, whether you're purchasing land, own land, you have to have the home attached to it. So modular or manufactured.
Okay. The biggest thing I get asked when customers come is like, what is the standard down payment? And I always say, well, number one, it goes off credit score.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but just the standard is 5%. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Well, that's a kind of a depends situation. So if you're doing what we talk about chattel financing, we'll use that one. Chattel is a home only loan. That's where you're only purchasing the home to put on your land, somebody else's land, a manufactured home park, something like that. That's normally going to require a cash down payment of at least 5%, but the bank, depending on your credit situation, can ask you to go all the way to 35%. When we go back to those qualified mortgages, you could, if your credit profile is right and your income profile is right, qualify for 0% down with rural development. FHA can be at a minimum of 3.5%. You get into the VA, that can be 0 down too, but there are difficulties with those qualified mortgages. It can make it a longer process. It just kind of depends.
There's one I still don't get. Land home, land plus.
So Land Plus would be a particular financing institution's own loan portfolio. So land home, this is what you always tease me about, land in lieu, right? Who the heck is lieu? Land in lieu would be a land home loan that is done, you use the land as equity. So basically you're saying I'm not going to put any cash down, but the bank...
But you could.
You can also, but if you own your land outright or you owe less than it's worth, you can use that extra additional equity to save you from having to put cash down, or put your equity percentage up so that you meet the requirements of the bank. So they need 10% down if you have a loan of $200,000 and land worth around $25,000. That's going to easily meet your 20% down requirement. It doesn't save you any money on the loan, but it does it basically gives a stake to the bank. You're saying, hey, I'm willing to put my land up so that I'm interested in getting this home, and it makes them feel more comfortable that you're going to be more invested in finishing out that loan.
And what qualifies, and I may be bouncing all around, so keep me in line, what qualifies someone as being a first-time home buyer? And is it a certain amount of money they make, or?
That's kind of a misnomer because they have that FHA, right? There's an FHA program. Everybody thinks that's a first-time home buyer. It's really not a first-time home buyer. You could do 7 FHA loans in a row. There are some community center or community grant services that can help you with first-time home buyer. We don't do a lot of that work with those types of programs. Your FHA is just something that the U.S. government wants more people to be able to afford a home. And so that's why they offer the 3.5% down if you're a certain credit profile. And it's kind of, going all out that most people don't really have a lot of experience knowing what their credit means, how the score got there, how I make it better, how I make it worse. And we can kind of give some advice, but there are a lot of credit repair services or credit advisors that can help more with that. But just to kind of give an example, a person with a 500 or better FICO score can qualify for almost any type of loan, with the exception of some of the qualified mortgages. So your rural development and your VA and your conventional financing, you're probably going to be pushed away from that. Now, most mortgage lenders are going to want a higher down payment or more land put up as equity, but you still have options. When you get into the 580 range, somewhere around there, you're going to be more closer to the minimum down, maybe only 5 or 10%. You get above 640, you're going to qualify for most minimums, and it's just kind of one of those things where that's where you would need to meet with a home consultant to kind of see what route you would want to go.
And with this being said, guys, I'll tell you now, I've seen Travis work with people before in the past and just tell them, say, hey guys, I'd love to sell you a house today, but now is not the best time for you. So with that being said, I'm gonna give you a few pointers of things to do, how to improve your credit. In other words, Travis or Corey, we have several guys here that's got great financial experience to tell you what to do to improve your credit, to get you the best interest rate possible and do what's best for you, not what's best for us. You want to explain that a little bit better?
Well, basically, with few exceptions, everybody can get a home. It's just maybe not right now. We kind of specialize in making a plan for you to get your home. So a lot of times we use a bank to kind of pre-qualify and give us an idea where you stand. But once we know that, if we can't get you a home right now, we can kind of give you some step-by-step instructions on how to get there. Maybe partner with a credit advisor to get you along that way a little bit quicker than we can. And it just builds it. Now, I've had people, it takes about a month to go from a no to a yes, and I've had people it took about a year to go from a no to a yes, but based off of the plan we made and what we needed to do. There's something as simple as somebody could tell me, I believe Corey or Corky said it, it's easier to pay a bill than it is to save money, right? So some people can't save money for a down payment because it's easy to make excuses, life happens. We even go so far as to, if you want to have us send you a bill every month to build your down payment, we'll just hold that money in an escrow account for you and build your down payment. You pay us $100, $500 a month, however long we got to get there. We can help you do that. And it's just something that every plan is individual based on your circumstances.
And one other small thing I'd like to mention to get Travis to go over also is it's very simple to get the process started. Application, picture ID, and from there, you will know exactly what you're approved for, what price range you need to be in. And something else I was going to say, I done forgot what it was.
Basically, once we do that application, we get you approved. That's when we have a meeting, make sure everything works, get to pick your colors and everything on your house. We'll help you through the process. We have an office manager, Miss Kristen. She's amazing. She does more to get anybody in their home than we do. We're just the pretty faces that help show them. But we'll help you step by step. Take that language that the bank presents to you that doesn't make any sense. Need bearer, BOI, DTI, all this stuff. We'll help translate it to English so you understand where we're coming from, where the bank's coming from, and find the right documents to get you to your home.
I know what I was wanting to mention. People get scared when they go to, for example, a car dealership. Well, they're just going to kill my credit, knock my points down. Comparable to the way we do the credit pull, it's just a one-time pull, if that, maybe a soft pull, right?
It's an either or. So there are situations where you can go to any kind of dealership and what we call it a shotgun your credit. They just hope a pellet hits something, so they send you to this bank, that bank, this bank, that bank. With a car dealership, that's going to count as a bunch of individual pulls, which can affect your credit. But most of our lenders, when you do that credit pull for a mortgage, you have a 14 to 45 day window where you can do multiple credit pulls. They understand that you're going to shop for the best rate, for the best mortgage, and what they're going to look at is, as long as you buy a home, it's not really going to impact you. Now, we do try to help you pick the right lender a little bit better. we're not going to ever twist your arm and say, you need to go with this bank. But there are situations where.
And what makes you steer them toward a certain lender?
Well, I don't really.
Credit score,
credit program, and it's more of like presenting them with options. This lender is going to offer you this credit profile and this rate, and this one's going to do this. And so there are some that have better programs based on your individual situation that can better serve you. Mm-hmm. It all is one of those, everybody's different. There's no cookie cutter
sure
profile.
There's one other thing I'd like for you to explain, and I'm pretty much done on questions, is to let someone know if they wanted to come and use land as a down payment, what's the process as far as application, appraisals, land clear, what's the time frame, and then far as simple as a conventional loan where they're just doing just home only.
So there's different time frames, and you know, from application to closing on a home only or a chattel loan, you could be theoretically, in a perfect world, 2 days from application to close. Mm-hmm. Realistically, it's probably closer to 2 to 3 weeks, but it can take as long as 45 days. A lot of it has to do with your documents that you're turning in, making sure we can get everything in and out. And then that's when we actually place the order for the home, or if you're buying a display unit from us, we get you started on the process of land improvements, stuff like that. When you do a land home, there is a different process. You have a whole lot of documents you got to turn in that prove your income, prove that you own the land, or you're purchasing the land, whichever way it's doing. Once you get all those documents in, that's when the bank actually sends it to an underwriter for approval, and it goes to appraisal. So like, you can't just walk in and say, I have 1 acre land and it's worth $1 million. The bank's going to say, well, we need to see what that compares to. Through comps, and that's a kind of a real estate, comparables. They compare this land that sold that big that was near you and see how much it sold to kind of get an average. They compare it to at least 3 properties. And so what that happens is normally 2 to 3 weeks to as long as 45, 60 days before we get to that appraisal process. And once that happens, it's normally another 25 to 30 days before you close. Because it does have to go to a title company. They got to make sure there's no judgments, nothing like that against the property. It's a whole lot of people that are going to touch your file once you go with a land home mortgage or a qualified mortgage. You probably have 50 to 75 people involved in your file through the mortgage company.
That anyone ever see.
You'll never meet them. You'll see us, maybe the inspector on your property, maybe the appraiser, but most of the time, you have so many people. There's underwriters, got to make sure the bank is protected. Got to make sure you're protected. Make sure that the government's not going to throw red flags on the audit. There's construction managers, this, and that. It's a whole lot that goes with it. Just kind of, but the time frames are important. Most people don't realize that I've seen it take up to 6 months because of a problem file. Most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it's going to be 45 to 90 days on a land home, and 2 to 3 weeks on a home only. And sometimes people don't know which one they want to choose, and that's when we sit down and kind of talk about what your goals are, what kind of home you're looking for, what kind of rate is going to be best for you.
Well, people, as you can see, I asked for that to be short. That's Travis's short version.
Well, we're still not even done. There's so much more. I mean,
yes.
We could go on for hours. One of the things we also look at is making sure that your payment's right. Now, if you come in and say, can I be at $100 a month? That's very, very, very difficult. We'll try and give you some advice on how to do that. But if you also say, I want to be at $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 a month, we try and present options will be there. Now, most of that power, most of the decision making is going to come from getting a pre-qualification or pre-approval, because then we know how we can sit there and take the numbers. Once we know what the bank's going to do for you, we can know exactly how to fix it to get that right. Sometimes that means that triple wide that costs $400,000 isn't what's right for you. Sometimes it means we got to look at the double wide.
And something that Corey did for me on a customer that I didn't even see, which was I thought a great move. A couple was going to use some cash they had put up for their land improvements. And instead, Corey says, well, why don't we use that cash to buy down their points, finance their land improvements, and it's going to save them every month they pay a bill. So you want to explain that a little bit better?
Well, basically buy downs are something a bank, if you're going to be in the home for more than 7 years, it's worth it to get a buy down point. And one buy down point normally equates to 0.25% interest rate. But it also equates to 1% of your loan. So if you're borrowing $200,000, they're going to add $2,000 to that loan for each buy down point. And it's not available on every loan program either, and that'll get you 0.25% interest less. So even though you're borrowing more money, you end up paying less per month. So as long as you're in there longer than 7 years, it ends up paying off for itself. Some banks will go to 2 buy down points, some banks will go to 4. That's another individual situation. We're always going to try and get you the best bang for your buck. Really, we could probably, like I said, go on for an hour or more.
Yeah, guys, we just kind of want to let you know that if you're stuck in a spot, you want to know what you're approved for, you want to know what your options are, come sit down and talk with us. We're not just trying to sell a house. We're trying to do what's best for you. So come on by. We got several people here that with great finance
Check us out at our new lot.
Yep,
we're moving over one door over to 8115 Highway 28 West. We got a lot of beautiful homes from Deer Valley, Capco, Clayton, and Franklin. We got more coming, and you can also give us a call at 318-487-1819. Ask for one of our salespeople, Sharinda, Hunter, Terry, or myself, Travis. And we'd be glad to help you. Or just stop by or message us on Facebook. All those are different options to get questions answered. It's a lot to go over.
I'm still confused, guys, so I hope y'all learned.